Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody who are watching this presentation. I'm very grateful to present on a topic here which is very near and dear to our heart and it connects to our personal journey. So, my name is Manisha Lad, and I am the founder and executive director for Akil Autism Foundation. Akil is our only son who is an adult and 21 years old, taking associate science degree. He's a neurodiverse learner, minimally verbal, and he types for talking. So I'm here to talk about digital-based academic education for neurodiverse learners, just like our son Akil, and how the digital-based education has have made an impact for his college education or even for getting him independent typing. So we'll be sharing a lot of our personal experience. I'm going to talk about autism and the research which is happening right now in the non-speaking community, and how being going to school, we still had to do some of the partial homeschooling, online schooling, and get him onto the college path when we had no path, had no track. We had no roadmap when it came for college education. And the only key to success was the presumed competence. So, what exactly is presumed competence and how it has got us for our son to go onto the college track? So, small introduction about myself. I'm Akil's mom. Akil is a 21-year-old neurodiverse learner, minimally speaking. I am also an holistic health coach. I come from a very strong IT background. And when Akil was diagnosed at the age of 18 months around in 2002, we were not given much of a hope. And I decided to quit the IT career and dived into the world of autism. Back then, who knew I would have I'm going to go and be so passionate about autism. So Akil is our driving force. And in 2008, we started Akil Autism Foundation. Our mission is to educate, treat, research, and support autism. And we have touched more than 5,000 families globally. So when it comes to autism and non-speaking community, 40% of these individuals, as they either have limited speech or they don't talk at all. And the current research, many research papers, they say that the comprehension is present, but they have not developed an effective language based alternative way to communicate. So they are listening, they are processing, but there has to have a way to understand what exactly how they're comprehending. And if we look at the research which was done in some of the papers, and they talk about the cognition potential abilities of this non-speaking, and they are highly underestimated. So if you see an individual who's completely non-verbal, the first question is how should I communicate with this individual? The second question comes into the mind, that does he or she understand what I'm talking? How the individual is going to express. And the current work, or the most latest research, was done by Dr. Vikram Jaiswal from Virginia University. He took a bunch of individuals, teenagers, who type for talking, like our son, used a letterboard. And the method was considered basically as an experimental and not proven. So he identified such individuals, and while they were communicating on a letterboard, he put them eyeglasses, and with the eyeglasses they are able to see and understand that before even a child's finger moves to on the letterboard, the eyes were moving. So definitely the comprehension was happening, and they were understanding. So that's what it means by presumed competence. He also found that definitely there are motor abilities. The individuals have a hard time. Let's say for our son, he had to press the letter B, either it will go to C or it will go to V. So the body control is the biggest issue when it comes to individuals with autism. And that's where your presumed competence comes into picture, and understanding that just because they cannot show, that doesn't mean, or they cannot talk, that doesn't mean they're not understanding. While he was researching in his lab, he also interviewed number of those parents, and through the survey he understood that once the parents had accepted their kids and accepted that there are no comprehension issues and presumed competence, the relationship between the child and the parent just went to the next level. So are there any success stories? Yes, now they are. Back then, we were looking for such success stories. So we have Tito Mukpadya, who is an author. He's a poet, and he has written a number of books. One of his book was I was inspired and touched by this book, that how can I talk if my lips don't move? When our son was completely nonverbal to the age of 11, um, we we were not sure whether he's understanding or not understanding. And once he started expressing, the first thing he said that he typed was, I want to talk. And this book just gave a lot of insight. So I'm very thankful to Tito, who types independently. He is minimally verbal, and but he has shown the doorway. Another case study is of Nakoi Higadashi, the Japanese boy, who has expressed uh, through, again, typing with little bit of support. You can see the mother is little bit of supporting the individual. And again, this method is considered very, very controversial. But again, presume competence. And he has written a book, The Reason I Jump. It is extremely hard for him to quiet his body. And he has expressed through his typing what is happening in his world when it comes to sensory overload. Now, this is the current, this year, we have two neurodiverse achievers. They have set a trend and raised the expectations of parents like us that everything is possible. So we have Harish Srinivasan and we have David Tiplitz. These are the first two individuals who are minimally verbal, type for talking, and they graduated from University of California, from Berkeley University. Not only that, Hari has accepted a position at a Vanderbilt University to go and do a PhD in neuroscience, and he's gotten fellowship award to do that. So yes, these are the case studies, and I wish we had such case studies back then. And the last example I should say is about Elizabeth Bonker. She also presented her graduation speech through typing. So these are the trailblazers. So there's a lot of hope. So now a little bit about our son Akil. Yeah, he is our misunderstood hero. He was diagnosed at around like his first birthday. He was catching up all his milestone. Definitely there were some red flags. And till 10, 11 years of age, he was completely nonverbal. We changed our autism perspective from behavior modification to biomedical, and we saw a huge change in him. But he still was extremely hyper. And once he broke his silence through iPad, through typing, he made a statement: I cannot see my body in my mind. I think in pictures. And the most powerful statement he made was that I want to go to college. I want to go to university. I want to go and do a research. So we had to convince him that you just can't directly go and do a research. There is a track, and back then we didn't had any college path or any college journey track for us. So now Akil at 21 uh, is twice exceptional or neurodiverse, ADHD, autism, whatever labels you have. But he's a sophomore taking associate science degree with Rowan College of South Jersey. And when he started expressing through the iPad and we broke his silence, we we saw that he was understanding everything in his mind, and he had reasons for everything, why he's doing this and why he's not doing this. To the point he made a statement that I know so much more than people can think in math, but I just can't show because my body won't listen to the brain. So definitely the biggest puzzle piece we or challenge in front of us at how to get his mind and body connected. And he inspired actually Dr. Deepak Chopra to come and meet him. And Dr. Deepak named him a genius. So here's Akil using a letterboard. And the communication method we used was rapid prompting method. This is a method to empower the individuals for learning academic education, functional skills, and it's a doorway to go into the child's mind and forming relationship. This is how we started. Our journey literally started with choices. We would give him paper choices. Those paper, when he selects an answer, we would teach him something and ask him questions, give him choices. Once he selects a choice, he has to use the stencils. And initially, it was 3 stencil board. Then we went to one single stencil board, and then eventually we went to a letter board. The biggest challenge again was now we wanted to go and see if he can type independently. By the time, well, Akil was to the point that he was very fluent on the stencil board, we still were struggling with the school to get any transcripts, as this was all new to us. Who knew to go to college you need a GPA, you need transcripts, and we were fighting with the school, arguing, and it was not happening. So we decided to take some keystone online homeschooling. We started with one algebra course. We hired a tutor, and we just started doing that course, and that's how we started collecting number of transcripts. We were able to learn Akil's learning style. It definitely was auditory learner, extremely strong auditory. He was visual, and every auditory he would listen, he would make a lot of pictures in his mind. We also learned that he was a very conceptual learner. During when the COVID time came, everything was homeschooled, or I would say online. And back then, that time we started seeing that Akil was using the mouse, and his mouse skills were getting better. Not only to close the Zoom, off the Zoom, mute the Zoom or audio, or on off the camera. It was not limited. We saw that his teachers were putting beautiful Google slides, and he was actually selecting some of the answers with the mouse, and we picked up that ability. We said, what, we need to see what else we can get for him, because as we were doing algebra, we were doing geometry, we were doing trigonometry, using the stencil board was becoming very difficult, as I had to go and create number of different types of stencil boards. I started land up using Jamboard and some of the tools like Graspable, Math, Geojibra, Nearpod. This really helped us to get him started on the technological, using technology and showing his independent skills. So this is an example of a Jamboard where you can see a probability question. And this is a Jamboard where we were putting a question, we were giving him choices, and he would select these choices and solve the equations. This was still not very dynamic. It was still very limited, and it still had a lot of limitations that Akil was not able to express the way he still wanted to could have expressed. But this was still moving towards the independence. As we move ahead, we got explored more technology tools, and we saw Graspable Math, and this was a complete game changer for us. So imagine all these algebraic equations, numbers, expressions. They were like symbols and stories, and they had gestures. So this was like dynamic. You put an equation and just with the mouse click, one can just solve the equation. And this was really helping Akil to boost his self-esteem. And all we had tons of lesson plans using graspable math, whether you name it algebra, whether you name it trigonometry, or whether you name it equations. So these are some of the examples, functions or variables. And he was just able to, on a mouse click, able to show to his teacher or a professor that this is the way I can do my work. Another example is about, if, like, writing expressions. If there is no expression, or if you have to change the expression on the fly, he was able to use this expression and solve it. We also, it was a big challenge for Akil to, to teach trigonometry, geometry. And we were then lucky to find Geojibra. Geojibra is such a visual tool, and just drawing small points or unit circle or triangles or sine function, trigonometry, tan function, you name it, or even some of the things like calculus 1, we were able to learn a lot about parabolas. And this was so visual for Akil. Uh, it really helped him to show us what he was actually understanding. Till this point, we had stopped using the letterboards, as I had to create a number of letterboards and it was becoming a challenge. And Akhil was getting too dependent on me, and he would say, and I will draw. So this has really helped us to move him for his independent skills. So here's an example of a unit circle using GeoGebra. Just move the radius, and visually we'll draw the picture. So this, every concept and every, like, say, cos theta or tan theta, Akhil would see them as visual pictures. And here's an example of how he is solving the trigonometric functions using the graspable math. So we were pretty excited about this technology and how it was helping him to show his independent skills, understand how much he's getting. Now, the next thing was, how can we, instead of going on the different websites, how can we get everything together on one platform? And we explored a platform called Nearpod, where you could easily create some of the lesson plans. You can have an interactive session, engagement with the teacher. You can have matching, quizzes, filling the blanks, open ended questions. And the teachers were able to really understand or do some of the questions on the fly, give him quizzes prepared. The teacher were, his tutors and teachers were now getting techno savvy and use this drag and drop method for teaching visually. As you know, a lot of the individuals with autism are very visual learners, and these technologies have helped them. This is an example of a matching where Akil, after reading something, now instead of a stencil board, I am able to show him some of the matching choices, and a teacher would ask him a question and he would just select the matching, and we would know that Akil is understanding and not understanding. Here's an example of filling the blank. So that's what I'm here for, and this is what our journey is, and I'll be very happy to help the families who or teachers who would love to get the individuals on the digital tool education. Don't forget to visit Akhil's website. Akhil presently, um, he presented at SpellX, and his topic was neurodivergent in minimally verbal individuals can now go to college. Thank you so much.